Good day, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Ashley Helm, and this is my chemistry honors project on the reaction between Diet Cola and Mentos. Every kid loves chemical reactions, from baking soda and vinegar, to elephant toothpaste, to invisible ink. They just don't know that those are chemical reactions. I wanted to take a scientific approach to capture the magic of one of those childhood reactions, and expand upon a new classic known as Diet Cola and Mentos. My expansion on this reaction was twofold. First, varying the number of Mentos in a set solvent, the standard Diet Coke, to find out which number produces the tallest geyser, and then taking that number of Mentos and varying the brand of Diet Cola, again to find which brand will produce the tallest geyser. Like my idea, my hypothesis is in two parts. The first half stating that 7 Mentos will produce the tallest geyser because it's between 1 and 14, 1 being the least amount of Mentos I could add, and 14 being the most, since there are 14 Mentos to a roll. Now note that this is a limited sample size, testing only the extremes and the median, because I didn't have the resources to test every number between 1 and 14, though I would have gladly done so. The second half of my hypothesis details that Walmart Diet Cola will produce the tallest geyser because its parent company is the most well-known and popular out of the 5 generic brands that I tested, and therefore would strive to be more like a brand name such as Diet Coke or Diet Pepsi in recipe. Over the course of my research, I discovered several interesting things. One being that the phenomenon that is Mentos and Diet Cola is still being researched, having come to light only recently with the 2006 Mythbusters episode. 2, that this reaction takes place because of both chemical and physical structure of the Mentos and Diet Cola. Chemically, the gum arabic and gelatin in the Mentos reacts with the potassium benzoate in the Diet Cola within the physical minuscule pits on the surface of the Mentos to quickly pull carbon dioxide from the soda and create little bubbles that are intent upon escaping the solution as quickly as possible. This reaction is also bolstered by the surfactants of gum arabic in the Mentos and aspartame in the Diet Cola, which is why Diet Cola works better than regular cola for this reaction. Multiple factors that influence geyser height are the brand of Diet Cola, since each recipe is different, and the number of Mentos, since the concentration of the solute and the available surface area both influence this particular reaction. Now, both of these factors are ones that I tested. But another factor is temperature, which I kept constant by keeping all the bottles together and outside in the area in which I would be doing my experiment. Finally, factors that do not influence geyser height are caffeine and acidity of the soda. Though Mythbusters did find caffeine to be one of the active ingredients in the reaction, they did so by using an amount of caffeine that was probably enough to kill you, to quote Jamie Heineman. In addition, the acidity does not change over the course of the reaction, meaning that it is not an acid-based reaction at all. While there are indeed several factors that influence this complex, still being researched reaction, there are also a few that, contrary to popular belief, do not. Much like my idea and hypothesis, my experiment would be also in 2 parts, with similar but not exactly the same materials. The first half of my experiment requires 3 2-liter bottles of Diet Coke plus 22 Mentos, 1 for the first trial, 7 for the second, and 14 for the third. The second part of my experiment would require 5 2-liter bottles of generic Diet Cola. In this experiment, I used Bubba, Food Lion, Walmart, Wise, and ShopRite, plus 35 Mentos, 7 per trial. The extra Mentos were for backup, and due to some mishaps, were needed. Both parts of my experiment would require a video camera and tripod, plus a way to measure the geyser. To this end, I began with a brick wall at another location, but as the weather would not cooperate, I ended up doing the experiment off the end of my house, using measurements of the siding to construct several ratios by which to measure the geyser heights. Now, I needed several ratios because I had to move the camera several times to fully encompass the geysers. For each part of the experiment, I set up the bottles in a single file row, as you can see in the pictures here. Now, after the first 2 trials, I preloaded the geyser tubes with Mentos to speed up the process and allow as little carbon dioxide as possible to escape, as you can see in the bottom left picture. I started the camera before I opened the bottle in order to capture everything from start to finish, the products of which are right here. In the upper left picture, to explain what's going on, in the upper left-hand picture, I am watching the results of Part 1, Trial 1, Diet Coke, and 1 Mento. In the bottom left, I'm setting up Part 2, Trial 1, Bubba Diet Cola, and 7 Mentos, a video of which you will see shortly. Finally, in the upper right-hand picture, I have just pulled the pin on Part 2, Trial 4, Wise Diet Cola and 7 Mentos. Yeah. As I stated, this video is of Part 2, Trial 1, Bubba Diet Cola and 7 Mentos. Seen here are the results of my experiment in bar graph form. The left graph illustrates part 1, plotting number of Mentos against geyser height. The right graph illustrates part 2, plotting type of generic Diet Cola against geyser height. The conclusion is that while 7 Mentos did prove to be the optimal number, as per my hypothesis, Walmart Diet Cola did not actually prove to be the optimal cola. In fact, it came in as the median height out of 5, with Bubba Diet Cola being the optimal cola. In conclusion, only half my hypothesis was correct. There were some errors made, such as several retrials needed for Food Line Diet Cola because of a faulty geyser tube, and a lack of proper camera coverage. The faulty geyser tube itself was also a problem, as were the varying camera angles possibly throwing off ratios. However, I believe my experiment to be as accurate as it could have been under the circumstances. The overall result of my experiment is as shown, that 7 Mentos in Bubba Diet Cola produced the tallest geyser out of all of my trials. Thank you, judges, for your time today.